I am just making this video really quick because I have to talk about the Chainsaw Man movie, which I saw last night. I was kind of hesitant to talk about this thing because it is such a mainstream, huge, topic, and I tend to not throw my hat in the ring when it comes to these huge anime because everyone's talking about it. What else do I have to say that hasn't already been said? But when it comes to this, I actually think I have a unique perspective to offer. Because my experience with Chainsaw Man as a series, I think is actually a little bit different from the normal. Another thing is I feel like a lot of people that saw this movie already knew the story of this arc. A lot of people were manga readers or something like that. I was not. I knew nothing about this story before I watched the movie. So before I get into the movie, I feel like I need to give my background with the Chainsaw Man series. Before season 1 of the anime aired, I had read a few chapters of the Chainsaw Man manga. I think I got up to around where Katana Man was introduced. That hadn't been resolved when I stopped reading the manga. And that's when the anime came out, and I watched some of the anime. But honestly, guys, I kind of just got worn out with Chainsaw Man because I didn't really get a whole lot of enjoyment out of watching a dude getting his dick knocked in every 2 minutes by everything in his life. I think maybe I was just in the wrong kind of headspace to be experiencing a story like Chainsaw Man, which is pretty depressing and it's just kind of watching a dude suffer. And I get that there's more to Chainsaw Man than just Denji getting his dick knocked off. It just felt that way to me, and I think at the time I just wasn't ready to experience a story like that. So I just kind of stopped with Chainsaw Man, and when I found out that season 1 didn't even go past the Katana Man stuff, I was like, well, all right then. And so I never finished season 1. So I go into this movie not knowing anything, and I gotta say, guys, just fucking wow. I just feel like this story, this arc of the story it made for the perfect movie story, I think. I read online somewhere that the Reisei arc is 9 chapters in the manga. My God, Overlord could take some fucking notes, putting 600 pages worth of a book into one movie. I have to be honest, my expectations for this movie was I was really just more excited to see some wacky, well-animated action scenes. And don't get me wrong, the movie had that in spades. So the way the movie is structured is the first half is kind of just all the setup. There's not really any action, and it's just kind of meeting Reisei, introducing her to the cast and her importance to Denji, and kind of focusing on Denji as he's trying to navigate the feelings of being attracted to 2 different women. I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking it's funny how he's agonizing over this so much that he's attracted and has feelings for 2 different girls, and he's making it it's this huge thing. But then I forget that Denji's 16. I actually forget that he's a teenager, and I'm sure a lot of us have had those experiences where we're getting pulled in a couple different directions sometimes, and a lot of people might not have been expecting such a slow burn for the first half, for something as wacky and pretty action-packed as Chainsaw Man is, or has a reputation for, I believe, as well. But then we get into the second half, and the second half is nothing but action. It is non-stop, balls to the walls, blood and guts flying everywhere for 45 minutes. It is insanity. My chair in the theater was literally vibrating with with the noise. It was insane. I actually think I lost some hearing in one of my ears because of how insane the action was, and I'm so glad I saw it in theaters because, man, this booming effects, Chainsaw Man fighting against Bomb Girl, the action scenes were something to behold. There were a couple of sequences where I wouldn't say I couldn't tell what was going on, but it got a little too hectic with the way they animated it. There was this scene where Chainsaw Man and Bomb Girl are fighting in this office building, and there's explosions happening all around them. And when the explosions happen, their silhouettes kind of get blasted on the screen, and it keeps cutting in and out from silhouette to not silhouette, and that was a little discombobulating, I guess is a good way to say it. There was also this other scene where Chainsaw Man and Beam, this shark fiend that he's riding into combat, I think that had to be a Sharknado reference, right? And when Denji rides into this storm on top of Beam, the things did get a little crazy. and with the animation. So overall, holy cow. I mean, everything with the explosions, like with Bomb Girl's, I mean, Bomb Girl blows up everything. She's blowing up the sky, she's blowing up buildings, she's blowing up people, like everything is exploding every 2 seconds in these fight scenes, and I loved it. It was nothing but nonstop action for like 40 minutes. My inner 10-year-old was gleefully watching this. But something I wasn't expecting with this movie was just how hard the ending hit me. I am gonna be getting into some spoilers here for the Heisei arc movie if you guys haven't seen it, so this is probably your chance to exit now before I start talking about that stuff, because I've always been a little dubious about these doing the arc in the form of a movie type things, because when it comes to a series, you just tend to have more time to get like connected and attached to characters. And movies, especially with this movie only being an hour and 40 minutes, on paper it just doesn't seem like enough time to actually, like, you know, develop any sort of real connection to a character. I think it had less to do with Heisei herself and more to do with what Heisei represented in Denji's life. You know, this was a girl that had manipulated him and, you know, had like ulterior motives for starting this relationship with him. And like I said, you know, Denji throughout most of his life, and honestly most of the series, has just been manipulated by people and used by people. And he's just constantly getting knocked down, beaten down. And Heisei, when she turns back at the end and goes to Denji, like, I viewed that as this was Denji's chance for the happy ending, at least, or something like that at least, and it just gets snatched away right there at the last second. Like, that was so impactful. Like, that hit me so hard. When Heisei says, I actually have never been to school either, like, I was literally sitting there like, I actually felt something like pretty profound in that moment. I know that sounds really cheesy, but it's the truth. I think my mouth was just gaping open actually in the theater, because I just wasn't expecting to be moved like that from a Chainsaw Man thing. I wasn't the biggest Chainsaw Man lover before this movie, but god damn, they really knocked it out of the park with this one. I think this arc was just perfect to adapt into a movie. It was a very movie translatable thing. Having the budget to make all these beautiful scenes between Denji and Heisei, and also the music, my God, the music was good. There was one piano track. It was the piano track that was playing when Denji and Heisei go to the festival together. I was enamored with that track. It made the moment feel so beautiful. But then also during the fight scenes, oh my, I think someone said it's Maximum the Hormone when she's blowing up Division 2, and I read somewhere that was Maximum the Hormone, and I haven't heard Maximum the Hormone since Death Note. That was the second opening. The animation was something, but man, that music, like, oh, that was the cherry and the icing on top. My God, the music was really good. But it wasn't just the hardcore music that I liked. It was also these very beautiful piano tracks that were there as well in the slower kind of slice of life half. And like I said, this is coming from a guy who isn't the biggest fan of the Chainsaw Man series as a whole. The story just hit a chord with me. It made me feel something. And anything that does that, I automatically have to sing praises for, because that's the whole reason, you know, we try to experience art. And, you know, I feel like that's what you should be watching things to begin with, to try and connect with. Like, after the movie was over, I was just sitting there like, holy shit, the action was so epic, everything was so beautiful, and it was such a tragic story. And I was like, my gosh, this show is, I'm honestly afraid, because I don't know if I want to be sad anymore, but it was so good at the same time, you know? So I think this movie might have actually turned me around on Chainsaw Man, like, as the series as a whole. Funnily enough, for some reason, because anime fans always gotta be anime fans, people are comparing it to the Demon Slayer movie, saying like, oh, the Chainsaw Man movie's better than the Demon Slayer movie. And all I have to say about that is, who cares, guys? We are all on the same team. Chainsaw Man is topping the box office this weekend in the US, I believe. And the Demon Slayer movie has made $750 million, I think. I think it's somewhere around that much. We're on the same team, guys. We've been beaten down long enough, and now is our time. We are cooking with these anime movies, and not only are they doing very well, but they're fantastic. We're getting high quality stuff that's also being received very well in the mainstream market. And I don't see see how that isn't a good thing for all of us. Like, why are we trying to divide our fandom here? Like, can we not just be happy that we have gotten 2 anime movies that are doing very, very well? I truly actually think the Chainsaw Man movie might be one of the best anime movies like I've seen in a while. So yeah, guys, those are my thoughts on the Chainsaw Man movie. An absolutely fantastic anime movie. An absolutely insane action-packed film, but that actually had a very moving narrative to it with, you know, characters. And I actually truly think you don't need to have seen any of season 1 of Chainsaw Man to like actually see this. Obviously, you're gonna be missing some details like from the world and how the world works, like, oh, where are these devils coming from? Who's this chainsaw guy? You know, if you hadn't seen any of season 1. But I do actually think people that haven't even seen Chainsaw Man would like the movie. Like, that's just how well this part of the story worked as in a movie format. And I'm just glad that it succeeded so well. And honestly, I'm probably gonna go see it again because I saw it in Japanese last night, and I'll probably go watch it in English just to have a slightly different experience. Thanks for listening to me rant, guys. I just had to talk about how good the Chainsaw Man movie is. It's actually changed my opinion on the series as a whole. I might have to give the series another shot. As always, guys, I want to know what you guys think of this topic, so please let me know what you thought about the Chainsaw Man movie in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you all next time. Bye.